Oh, God. Hello. Hi, everyone. We're back from our break. How was everyone's break? Was it nice?
Relaxing, yeah.
Yeah, I fed a cat.
I fell asleep.
You fellas, right? Good.
That's so Jiang.
That's so Jan. Coming this winter to the Disney Channel. So, Justin got it. John looks offended. Is John offended at the thought that Justin got it, or by the concept in general?
I'm offended by the thought of Jan getting a children's program on the Disney Channel.
Yeah,
that
it probably wouldn't work out well.
Sociopathic murderer.
Hi, kids. Let's see how much force a wrench can produce. So
there's so much stuff. Never mind. Let's log off.
let's go on an extended riff about skull wrench interactions. So the first thing I'm going to do is every act in a cinematic play session. You get to look at your character's personal agenda and see if they satisfied or move towards satisfying it within the last act. And if so, you get a story point. And they're basically good for just giving you an automatic success in something. You know what? It does occur to me as well, and it might be a little late to be throwing this at you, but we didn't really cover story points from the last act of A Place of Burning, understandably, because it's like we didn't care because the story was over. But you know what? And I realise it might have been quite handy to have had that in the first act of this. I'll give you just all a story point for having survived A Place of Burning. So everyone could just gain a story point. But then let's see how you did for the first act. So, John, what is Huang 12's personal agenda at the moment?
Huang 12's personal agenda is contact Seegson HQ and deliver a report concerning Chirikov Station, which she obviously hasn't managed.
No, she hasn't managed it. And I think you haven't made concrete progress towards it either, because you haven't found any communication other than this distress beacon. So I'd say that's a no for the moment. And obviously, if also you don't have to satisfy an agenda to change it. So if you feel like your agenda at the beginning of Act 2 is now different, go ahead and change it. Steve, what's Dima's agenda?
So Dima's agenda was to find food and water and painkillers. Because of his arm. Now he's not found painkillers. So I guess what's it called? Novaleave?
Yeah, I think are kind of painkillers, like mechanically, because pain is more like stress than damage. Yeah. So, I'd say you've done that. Take a story point, and I imagine you want to change that agenda now.
Yes, I think probably Dima will be very interested in knowing how much this Alieva knows about xenomorphs. So, finding out how much she knows, that sort of stuff.
So, Jean, I dread to ask, what is your personal agenda?
So my personal agenda was to escape the cage, but I feel like I've sort of achieved that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now my personal agenda is to find whoever imprisoned me. Yeah, I mean, let's just say, if you put me in a room with the person who imprisoned me, we can see what will happen.
Is that a specific person? Do you just need to find security forces, or do you need to find the person who ordered you put in a cell?
Ideally, the very person.
Okay,
but Gian is not is not picky.
Okay,
Yeah,
we'll take a story point for being released anyway, and how about Boyer?
Well, I believe Boyer's been fairly consistent in that his personal agenda is pretty much to protect the safety of Huang 12 and obviously himself throughout this kind of ongoing crisis. So, succeeded so far. The odd leg here and there, notwithstanding.
Yeah, absolutely. Take that story point. How about Fang?
My agenda was to continue transmitting test results back to the operatives for the Azul government, which I think
was that. But would it have remained that at the beginning of this story? Is that the one left over from Place of Burning? If you see what I mean.
That's the one. That's one left over. I hadn't thought to change it. So I mean, yeah. I
think. Do you think if you had changed it at the beginning, it would have been like "get out" or something? Because that seems like a logical addendum to that, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think I'm changing it to get to safety.
Okay.
And I don't think I'm in any safer position than I was inside the cell.
Possibly. Yeah. That's fair enough. I admire your honesty. So yeah, sure. But we've all got at least one story point anyway from the end of Place of Burning, so that's good shit. We are going to pick up, and regular viewers of the Alien one-shots will know how much I like my time skips between over the breaks. But we're not going to jump forward too much. We're going to jump forward maybe a couple of hours or so. And you've been traveling the streets of Bering. You've kind of heard things happening in the near distance that you don't particularly want to be a part of. You've seen some people, and mostly when you've seen people, they've been like, you've seen someone creeping around or like moving around the street. They've seen you moving as a group, and they have run as fast as their legs can take them, and they've always been at a distance that you can't like manage to communicate with them or say hi to them. They clearly want no part of a group of individuals wandering around these streets. So there we go. If anyone's worried about noises in the background, it's just my cat taking a shit. So don't worry about that. It's free. It's the kind of extra wonderful content you get on Telling Tales.
Everyone take a point of stress.
Yes, absolutely.
3 points.
I'm taking 10. So
including me, which we didn't think was possible.
Yeah. We found the secret vulnerability of synthetics. So, yeah, you've been wandering around these streets. Collier seems to know pretty much where he's going. You haven't had a huge amount more information from Alyona, who seems to be difficult to communicate with and doesn't seem particularly disposed to passing on the apparently considerable amount of information she has about these xenomorphs. But from what she has said, it seems very, very clear that the life forms she's talking about are the life forms you encountered at Chirikov Station. So there we go. Let's pick up with you. You've been walking along for a while, and you have kind of like heard a bit of noise sort of nearby and ahead of you. You're walking through more and more of these Bering streets, kind of like abandoned places around you, noises in the distance, overturned vehicles. And as you round a corner, could everyone give me, and like in so many other games, by far the most common roll, can everyone give me an observation roll, please?
I rolled no successes and a 1 on my stress dice. So
okay.
We had stress, don't we, as well? Oof.
Yeah.
So I will now.
So you need to, if you did that, Pierre, you need to add 1 to your stress, and then you need to roll a d6 and add your stress to it.
Okay. So that would be 6.
Which is fine. That's the highest you can get, and it'd be fine.
It'd be fine.
So,
I roll
1 success and no stress results. So.
Same here, 1 success. Yeah.
cool.
I failed despite having 11 dice.
Nice.
I rolled 2 successes and no stress.
Okay. So, Dima and Boya, you're maybe near the front when this occurs. You kind of round a corner into a street, and it's quite a wide one that has been laid over with, a lot of this kind of cold ash that's drifting down from above. I'm really sorry. I don't know what he's doing. I think
don't worry.
He's digging for gold. So you've turned onto this street, and there's a lot of there appears to be essentially an SOF tank that has been burned out and is just kind of sat in the middle of the street, and currently around it, talking and kind of casually wandering along and seemingly like examining buildings nearby, is a group of individuals. There is no one unifying factor between them. But all of them seem to have daubed their faces with orange paint in various ways. So some of them have it like smeared over their eyes. Some kind of like, maybe one of them's got like a hand of it and just smushed it onto their face. Yeah, Collier kind of sees them as he rounds the corner and just kind of with a noise kind of like ducks down and kind of scrambles along behind an overturned car.
Yeah, Borea's gonna going to duck down behind whatever's available. Do we manage to clock a rough head count? Or
well, being as you're asking that, you know what? Yes, someone did, and that someone is Fang, because Fang rolled an extra success. So I don't know if you'd offer the information, Fang, but you saw that there were maybe about 10 of them.
Yeah, I think that would be of benefit to me to offer that information to the rest of the group, and so I do so. We must be like, quite a large group.
Yeah, I think you are by now. There's the 5 of you plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, in fact, there are 10 of you. I think there are 5 NPCs, and there's you 5.
And did they look to be well armed?
They certainly looked armed. At least some of them had guns. You didn't get like a full on recce of them.
Well, they burnt out a tank, so
assuming that was them that did it.
Are they sort of like? Are they like 50 meters away? Kind of.
Call it that.
Right
yeah.
In the mix. Okay.
Absolutely. Are people attempting to take cover, like Collier has done, and kind of stay out of sight of them?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone that is, and I do note that Jeanne isn't nodding.
Sure, I think I will. I will.
But anyone who is, please make a mobility roll for me, please.
Ooh.
Would I don't believe I'm. Yeah, would my
So
leg
sorry,
give
folks. Can you guys hear this? Amazing.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Glorious.
Would my leg give me a penalty to this? Good. Nothing.
He does a thing, you see, where he gets in the litter tray and he pees and he scrapes it all over, and then he gets out and he gets back in and he poos, and then he gets out and scrapes.
That's just not. Anyway,
why are we talking about this?
Levels of
I
detail.
just want everyone to have context.
No one needs
tense
context.
moment.
Never needed context.
And now he's got Pooforia.
Three
I got 2
successes.
Okay.
Okay.
2 successes, but I got a stress, so I need to roll that now.
So, what I'm going to say for this is anyone with extra successes beyond 1, for each extra success, you can use it to give it to another person to ensure that they also don't get spotted.
I rolled 1 success and also a 1 on my panic die.
Good stuff. So obviously anyone who did that needs to ratchet up their stress again and then roll on the panic table.
So, sorry, you gain stress when you roll a 1 on a stress die?
Yes.
As well as, okay.
As well as a panic roll, yes.
I got a total of 8 on the panic table.
And that gives us, I believe, tremble. Yeah, you start to tremble uncontrollably. All skill rolls using agility suffer a -2 mod until your panic stops. Yeah, so that's fine.
The
I don't know
increase,
how you tell when panic stops.
The increase you get in stress for rolling the 1, that's factored into what you add straight away. To the stress
Correct, yes.
panic roll. Oof, okay, that puts me over then. So it's going to be a 7. That's
Okay.
Nervous twitch.
Which I believe gives everyone else. Nervous twitch, your stress level, and the stress level of all friendly PCs in short range of you increases by 1. So everyone take an extra stress. Yeah, absolutely. I'm choosing to interpret this as like, Boyer, do you think it'd be like when you get your nervous twitch, you think it might be a thing that like you kind of compulsively like, because you've taught multiple times about checking your mag, and I can just imagine you like, you're in there and you're like,
yeah, I'm just like
you look and you check and then you go, oh, did I check?
Is it definitely? Yeah.
It's like watching Alex play Tarkov, in other words.
Exactly. Constant mag checks.
Yeah. Jeanne, as for your kind of, what's that called, a tremble, I'm not seeing that as Jeanne trembling in fear. Anticipation, I think, is Jeanne's deal there. But either way, those are the 2 effects that you have on that. Justin's asked a really good question. Did you get extra stress for seeing the shrine and the burned bodies? You know what? I don't want to retcon and add extra stuff to panic rolls, but actually, yeah, I think that's absolutely valid. It was a horrific sight. So everyone can ratchet up their stress by another 1, but don't worry about retroactively adding it to panic rolls or anything. Thanks, Justin. I appreciate that.
You know what?
Thanks,
this
Justin.
situation isn't tense enough. You know,
Yeah.
Why did we start with 0? We should have been starting on 5.
Possibly, yeah, possibly, and like a starving condition and stuff like that. But I'm glad I have you on my side with this, Justin.
Look, I got none of these characters I'm attached to at all. They're all. I'm these 3 in this session. So
there was only one character you're attached to, and she got her head burst open. So okay, but despite that, okay. So I think enough people definitely roll successes that we were all in cover successfully.
I rolled 3, so there's some spare.
Wow. Okay. So even if Huang failed, you can have an extra 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes from the others to pull you into cover. And yeah, everyone is just kind of lurking there. You can hear them talking. Kind of, you can't quite hear what they're saying, but you can hear them talking further down this road. Cam is probably kind of up next to you on the same vehicle, Boyer, and as you're kind of like compulsively checking your mag, he just kind of like slaps you on your chest to try and bring you out of it and says, "You're with me?
We're good. I'm gonna
okay."
And Boyer sort of clutches at his dog tags that he keeps around his neck,
dropping his stress by 1. There's a mechanic, folks. You have a personal item. You can interact with it once every act to bring your stress down by 1. Yeah, he kind of nods and says, "Okay," because when I open fire on unarmed civilians or poorly armed civilians, I like to have some backup.
You got it.
That was him using banter, by the way, which is, I believe, it literally just drops everyone's stress down by 1 whenever he uses it. Is that correct?
Amazing.
That sounds about right. Let me just check the talents of banter. Yeah, his stress level and the stress level of everyone in short range, that's everyone, drops 2 steps instead of 1 for every turn spent in a safe place. I'm going to say that you are in a safe place right now, huddled up in cover, and this is a bit of a fudging of the rules, but everyone's stress can drop by 2.
Wow, that's really good.
As Cam makes his ha-ha fascist joke.
Light-hearted banter about shooting unarmed civilians.
Yeah. Well, someone's got to.
Keep the whales.
Yeah. Would suggest an evasive technique rather than an aggressive one.
I agree. We don't have to get into this. If we don't have to, then I don't think we should.
How many are there?
Like 10, yeah.
We can take them.
Well, ammo would be better conserved for other matters.
Agreed. Can is not should.
We're going to be going that way. If you want to go towards them,
fine.
That's on you.
Yeva kind of leans in and says, "I only have the 1 med kit, Jan."
All right.
Okay. Someone take the lead and we'll follow. Who is going to take the lead on trying to sneak around them? It's going to be a mobility roll. Everyone's like, nope.
I
mean, if you're all goddamn cowards, I will. Yep.
I'm happy to. All right, fine. Zhang's going.
Is this where we found out Zhang has 0 mobility or something?
I have 1 mobility and 3 agility.
It's the most mobile.
Look, boldness. So I'm rolling 3 stress dice plus my pool of 4. I rolled 1 success and a panic.
And did you reduce your stress dice for the banter?
Yes.
Flipping heck.
I was at 5 stress. I am a highly strung individual.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also panicking, so I just got to roll that.
It's probably worth noting. Sorry, it's probably worth noting, as Steve has pointed out, I think we've made a rules error in that I don't think you add stress when you make a panic roll.
It seemed pretty harsh.
Yeah. So that means everyone who's made a panic roll, like however many panic rolls you've made, drop your stress by that amount.
I think I might have made 2 panic rolls.
I think you've made 2 as well. Yeah.
So I'll drop it by 2.
I think you've made 2 and Boy has made 1.
I think I've made 2.
Oh, you may have made 2 as well.
Didn't do anything.
Fair enough. Then you can both drop your stress by 2.
It doesn't matter because that already put me down to 1 stress. So.
Okay, sure. I'm still rolling this panic because, or should I re-roll that last thing?
Sure. Now that we've realised that, maybe re-roll that last thing.
Because I would have 1 less, like 2 less dice.
Yeah.
Okay, instead of having 1 success and a panic, I have 0 success and 0 panic.
Are you pushing?
Sure. So I gain a stress.
So that is a stress, which you immediately take the die for.
Yeah. And
sorry, folks. We're a bit rough. We're a bit out of practice with Alien. We haven't played it since February.
I got 1 success and no panic.
Okay. Yeah, Jean, you know, you're threading your way between kind of burned out vehicles. You're finding yourself kind of moving around this wide road, kind of out of the sight of them. You can hear them like softly talk to each other, but not really saying anything of much interest. Kind of, they just seem to be kind of like, glorying in the fact that they feel they're winning against the SOF and they're pushing them back. But from your understanding, like they seem like people boasting and bragging and just kind of like riling themselves up rather than having any sense of kind of actual strategy or kind of like who really know what they're doing. You do hear a reference to them saying, one of them says, when the children arrive, this will all be so much easier. And as one of them says that, another one shouts, "Hey, who's that? Who's that over there? Over there!" Are you going to try and take a peek?
Yeah.
I think you can successfully do that without the need for a roll. They have turned and are looking at a building nearby, not towards you.
Perfect.
Is the building in a different direction to like our group in general?
Mm-hmm.
We might want to use that opportunity to shimmy along. Maybe make this a little easier to get from cover to cover.
Sure. Jean, do you want to make another mobility roll for me if you're the one who wants to lead this?
Sure. So that's 4 dice plus now 2 stress.
Mm-hmm. You know what? You can take an extra die from the help you're receiving from just behind you by Boria and Cam, I think.
Okay. Is that a stress dice or not stress dice?
No, a normal die.
Okay. I got 1 success and no panic.
Yeah, you start moving forward very successfully again. There is another outbreak of noise. This one very different from what came before it. You hear one of them shouting, I think they might be up. And then there is a cacophony of gunfire breaking out. Very specific gunfire that any of you who have not been a member of any kind of Colonial Marine Division are unlikely to have heard before. Like a kind of staccato, high-pitched, rolling whine. Anyone who kind of glances over or looks, and Jan, I think you'll definitely be able to, can see that there is an upper floor, and poking out of it a good 3 feet is a very large barrel and muzzle of a weapon with a flare running in 4 different directions. Bodies are just like already 2 or 3 of the cultists are just bloody mush on the ground, and the others, like some of them are backing off and firing, others of them are just running. But yes, someone is up in that window and they have a smart gun and they are tearing the cultists apart. What do you guys want to do this? You can just round or like go with that mobility roll you just had. You can just get past this situation if that's what you want, or you can engage with the cultists in some way, or you can, or try and somehow communicate with the people up there. It's up to you guys.
I think Boy is probably going to immediately yell for people to just like stay down, because knowing what a smart gun can do with its ability to track, it's probably going to be like trying to get everyone to stay down. But I think he's also going to try to like basically yell at Huang 12 over this cacophonous noise. Say, do you have that transmitter still? Can you find a way to communicate with those people?
I will check my transmitter and see if I can raise them. You are muted.
Give me a contact roll, please.
Okay. Do I get an extra point from having my transmitter, or?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. 12 dice.
Because you need all those extra dice, don't you?
Definitely needed the 12.
Definitely. So that's 1 success on the first. 2, 3. 3 successes.
You have successfully concluded that you cannot make contact with the people in the building.
Rough.
No.
Okay.
There is there's no transmitter nearby that you can latch onto.
Maybe we should just get the fuck out of here then, because this is a bad spot, and they don't know us from cultists right now.
The cultists have rallied kind of behind the burning tank and are starting to return fire. They are outgunned, but that just looks like one smart gun operator up in that window, and they could get a lucky shot.
Boria, you do have those Molotovs, don't you?
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Right, so Boy is now furiously trying to light a Molotov from what I assume is like behind a kind of like a wrecked out car or similar kind of cover. Do I need to like make any kind of roll? I don't know what the weather's like. I assume it's. Am I going to succeed? Or
I don't want to make you make a roll to create a Molotov cocktail. I feel like most of the people in this or watching this who have never created a Molotov cocktail can make a Molotov cocktail. So I don't think there's any. You pour some of the alcohol out, you get a rag and stuff it in and set it on fire. Like
yeah.
Like so, I think that's fine. But I'd like you to give me a ranged combat roll, please, to see how.
Okay, see how this goes.
Telling tales would be teaching people, the masses, how.
Just if you didn't know, folks,
we're on a
labeling
list
people,
now.
Matt.
We're on a list.
Yeah. Okay, this is playing to my strengths a bit more than the roles I've been doing so far. So, range combat. Okay, here goes nothing. Hopefully not nothing. So far, nothing. So I will push that.
Don't forget the stress and the immediate extra die you get from that.
Yes, thank you. 1 stress. So I'll make that roll again and then add the stress in so I don't confuse myself. Astonishing. That's still 0 successes.
When can you use story points?
Stress in.
When can you use story points? I'm not sure, but for the purposes of our thing, I'm happy for them to be used retroactively.
So I rolled 7 dice twice and got no successes, and then I added my stress die in from the push and got a 1.
Lovely.
Amazing.
Well, first off, let's make your panic roll and see what it is, because if it doesn't take away your action, I'm happy for you to spend a story point and still get to hit with the Molotov. That's
what I'm thinking about doing.
I mean,
it's a keep cool. It's a 2+1, so...
Yep, that's fine. So if you want to spend your story point and hit with that Molotov, I'm
absolutely going to burn that story point. Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. Obviously, I don't have the damage for a Molotov here. No. You can spend it after a failed roll. So that's absolutely fine. God, I don't know what the damage of it would be.
I mean, so a pulse rifle is damage 2, a pistol is damage 1.
I'd say it's a 2. I'd rather get shot with a pistol than hit with a Molotov cocktail square on, right. I think.
Yeah.
So let's say it's a 2. Like... So how many... So that's just 1 success, though. So that's 2 damage, but they don't have any... It's got some splashed into it. I'm not going to try and retrofit it into the rules.
No,
I'm just going to say that you hit with the Molotov cocktail. It literally hits one of them square on.
I'm just going to stand up from like seemingly nowhere behind this car and go, hey, you guys like fire, right? And just like lob this thing.
Dude.
Sure. The flames like engulf one of them who's kind of like wailing and moving around and collapses onto the floor at the back. The others are kind of like looking over and one of them's kind of swinging a pistol around in your direction. One of the, and it's up to anyone else, I don't know how much attention people will be paying to people who've already been downed by the smart gun. But it's notable that one of the individuals who's kind of been shot down by the smart gun and is kind of like has one leg kind of hanging on by a thread from it, but is still currently clinging onto life, now sees a few feet away from them the individual like just flopping and dying from the flames on the ground and is crawling towards them. And in a few seconds heaves themselves onto the flames with a cry of joy and victory.
Cool.
I wasn't wrong.
So shall we? I don't really want to go into full initiative with this. I don't think. I feel like the cultists are kind of, you and whoever's in that window have them in enfilade now, and like, who's opening fire?
I've only barely been restrained so far by Boira.
Sure. So if everyone is opening fire, I don't see a point in resolving the combat mechanically. Is anyone holding back, just out of narrative interest?
I am holding back.
Of course, you are holding back. Yeah.
Is anyone going full auto?
No.
Is anyone taking any stress unnecessarily? Yeah. Okay, absolutely. Everyone sounds like everyone is opening fire. The cultists are downed in a matter of seconds. You've got the drop on them. The smart gun is roaring from that window still. But as soon as all the individuals are kind of on the floor, like dead or near death, that smart gun kind of like wraps up its fire, and the sudden silence is quite shocking. They make a very, very loud noise. There's a kind of slight silence, and a voice from the upper window calls out, you know what? I can't think of an immediate. Let's. I'm going to do something weird and silly here. Russian army old mottos, old. I want them to call out something by like dangerous as a way. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Many bad endings to that Google search.
I know, but like it'll be fine. Okay, this is fine, I think, and I'm sorry if this is awful to someone. A voice calls out in Russian from the window the phrase "nobody but us."
I think Boya's
which
gonna
Boya very much recognizes as a.
So
yeah.
I'm gonna like grip the pulse rifle by just like the front guard, and put the other hand kind of sideways in a kind of like open gesture, and yell the same phrase back.
A young man kind of leans out from the window and kind of looks to either side to kind of like check the flanks, and kind of as he does so, obviously he barely needs to move it. He's got the frame that moves the smart gun with his sight, and he turns back and says, "Are you all right?"
Yeah, no problems.
We've got one injured up here.
We've got a medic.
There's a medic here too, but she could use the help, I think.
That sort of gesture that maybe we should go and meet these people, these new friends.
Is there any objection to this?
No.
I mean, I can imagine one person having an objection.
I don't. Well, I mean, I don't have an objection. These people probably are a path to individuals associated with our entrapment.
Sure.
This is like there's a very different movie going on.
Yeah.
Everyone else.
Like, we're all just playing aliens, and Jean is playing like a twisted version of Mandy. So there's, you can head into the building and head upstairs. And John, can you bring us up the image labeled survivors, please? You already knew where I was going with it, because there's only one picture of a guy with a smart gun. They introduce themselves quickly to you, and that is what they all look like. I will describe them for you. Let's not get too bogged down in NPCs. I know we've got a lot of NPCs, folks. It's just how these well, it's not how, it's how mine go. So the medic is called Gala Popoa, and she's a shortish woman of middle years with shortly cropped dark hair, coiffed into an old-fashioned style. She's worry-worn and appears older than her years, wearing ship fatigues and a sleeveless jacket packed with small, useful medical supplies. She seems desperate but determined. On the floor is someone who they introduce as being called Apostol. He's a tall, somewhat bulky man with close-shaven head and a pudgy, babyish face, dressed in casual, bland civilian wear and currently wounded, seemingly having taken a stray round to the chest. He seems to be struggling to communicate verbally. The Marine introduces himself as Corporal Santos. He's a tall, lean man of Hispanic descent, dressed in SOF gear, slightly messy, shortish dark hair, with a skull and crossbones motif stenciled on the front of his chest pad. He immediately gives you the impression of being a highly professional soldier, calm and measured, and concerned with the safety of those less capable than he is. Santos welcomes you and gestures to Apostol on the floor, who Yeva gets her medkit out and starts working on alongside Gala.
I'm definitely hanging back, waiting for the Marines to talk to each other.
Sure. Cam has exchanged kind of like, very kind of soldierly greetings with Santos. Santos kind of looks over at you, Boyer, as the one who was talking down on the street, and says,
Right.
Corporal Santos.
It's just Boyer now. What's going on, Santos? What's the situation? Why are you guys out here? I thought you guys all pulled back.
What rank were you when you retired, do you think?
That's an excellent question.
I'm happy for you to make it up as long as it's not like above sergeant or whatever.
A 3-star general. I mean, it's 15 years. I don't know what is normal for that, but I would say maybe a sergeant or a staff sergeant or something.
I'm happy for you to have been a sergeant. I'm also happy for you to have instantly slipped into kind of like sergeant voice, if that makes sense. And Santos says, your guess is as good as mine, sir. Just so many of them. All of a sudden, people had already been disappearing over the previous days. I guess it was them taking them away, burning them, but I don't know. I got caught out here. My unit got killed. I found these two. Well, found Gala, and then we found Apostol here, and we've just been holed up for a few hours. Is that a camera?
Yeah.
Sir, can you ask him to get that camera out of my fucking face?
Collier, give it a rest, would you?
He looks a bit taken aback, but he does turn it off.
Can they move? It doesn't look good.
Santos shrugs. He doesn't know.
Yeva?
If I have help, I can move him. But he's a big guy. I mean, he's got to move. We can't stay here, right?
Yeah. Can we maybe try to make a stretcher or something?
I don't think we'll move fast enough. I need someone. Look, I can pick him up on one side. I need someone else to take the weight.
Oh,
do you want to make yourself useful, killer?
No.
Right.
If you take him on your left, I'll take him on my right. Balance him against my good leg.
Thank you, ma'am. She heaves Apostol up, who gives a kind of noise and kind of holds him on one side and offers the other out to you.
I will take it.
You've got a pretty good strength, right?
No, it's 3.
Oh, that's fine. That's enough. Yeah. I didn't know if as a synthetic you've got like crazy strength or something.
No, not built for it.
No, it's true. Santos kind of leans in and says, "So where are we going?"
There's a distress beacon in the central facility, and I'll show him my data transmitter, my PDAT. We believe SOF forces have fallen back to here. It's an automatic signal, so we don't even know if they're still there, but it's the best bet we've got.
He kind of looks over at you and kind of glances down at your leg and then looks back at Boyer and says, "Is that right, sir?"
Yeah.
Okay. I have, I'd say, 2 reloads. It's pretty good, but not great.
I'm not 100% sure what Borea's got, though. He's probably just got what's in the magazine at the moment, right? So
Yeah, I think so.
yeah.
But obviously, the smart gun is a much more immediately destructive device than the pulsar rifles.
Yeah. We're not doing so hot for ammo in general, to be honest. We're trying to avoid, well, that as much as we can.
Sounds good.
There is also a possibility that some form of reinforcements for the cultists are on their way. And they will take a lot more ammo.
Deadly. Very, very deadly.
More ammo than we have by a long shot. And even if we had it, it might not be enough. Just with the numbers we've got, we need to move quickly.
Kind of all the 3 of them kind of look a bit confused, as does probably Collier. And the scientist says, biomechanical, molecular acid for blood, maybe engineered.
Okay, we'll worry about the academics of how fucked we are later. Let's just move.
Oh, Leona, did you have... How were you going to get out of here? Did you have escape plans? Well,
Same as
for
you,
Collier.
Same as you. I was going to find the central area. They pulled back. I would find them.
I think we were all just as stuck. We're all in the same boat now.
Okay, so you leave that building and start proceeding further down Bering's streets. Who do we think is sort of guiding the way in this? And are we relying on Collier's memory of the layout of Bering, or is anyone else kind of taking the lead with that at this point?
I'd be inclined to rely on Collier, but also like maybe try and use some common sense with like how dense the buildings and infrastructure is and stuff like that.
Sure.
Does Huang 12 have is it actually a map, or is it just a directional?
It's just directional.
Right. Yeah.
Well, does anyone want to make a survival roll to see how much they can help Collier with the directional stuff?
I can give it a go.
Yes.
Go for it.
I think when we're walking away from that sort of, when Borea is out of earshot of the guy, I think I'll sort of walk past Borea and say, huh, sir, and then like continue on.
Borea's not going to rise to that. Just side eye Xiang as he passes.
How do we do on the survival rolls? 3.
3 successes.
That's better than me. I rolled nothing.
Sure.
2 successes.
So as you're walking along, like I think Boya will also come to a similar conclusion, but Huang probably proposes it first. Essentially, you're fairly sure that Collier is taking you. He's taking you a fairly direct route, but also you're pretty sure, given your information of like the colony's infrastructure specifically, you've had like maps and what would you call them? Kind of schematics downloaded to your cortex in order to work here. There is one way to try and get there a lot quicker, and that is that the city has a limited but functional subway, essentially like a metro, a public transport series of tunnels.
Could have been worse. I thought you were going to say sewers.
No.
I also thought that.
That is also now my cat coughing just because he really wants to mess with this. With this stream. He's fine, folks. Don't worry about Just huffs.
I mean, if it's faster, I think we could. It's got to be a good idea. It has to be.
It's going to be an enclosed space, though, isn't it?
Boyard's in favour of getting off the streets. Subway's a bit of a question mark, but
It's
At
hard
least
to get lost when there's only a few options.
at least you can't get shot from every single direction.
It's possible that we've thought of it before they have.
I
Well,
think we should take a vote, maybe.
slowed down by this dead weight, I think that the subway is our only option. You can vote if you like.
God help me, but I agree with Zhang.
Yeva and Guang kind of look over at the conversation and nod and says, and Yeva says, "We've got to get him to a proper medic quickly."
And let's go.
He's clearly kind of slightly delirious now, and he's kind of leaning heavily on you, Huang, and just kind of muttering something under his breath, probably in a like a dialect you don't quite understand.
Okay.
Okay, you can find one of the entrances to the Bering metro system fairly easily. And like I say, it's quite limited, so there's kind of limited ways in which you can go. It's not like a confusing maze or anything. You arrive down there, and normally there'd be like the sounds of the actual metro running and the crowds. Now there's nothing, just kind of an eerie silence. You step over a couple of bodies at the bottom of the stairs leading down. Fortunately, the power still seems to be on here, and everything is fairly well lit. And you can freely go to those metro tunnels, and they've got room at the side of them. If you heard something coming, you could definitely like duck to the side and get out of the way, because everything just runs one way, like one metro just running round and round and round the one track essentially. And you're pretty sure that if you head to the like in the northwards direction of the tunnel, you will get much quicker towards where that directional signal is pinging you. So you start proceeding down there. As you go, you're walking along, and does anyone want to have any interaction? Like, this is a nice pause in which to have some interactions, like a moment of calm. Also, everyone can go ahead and drop their stress by 1. Because you feel fairly secure under here compared to being up on the streets. Would anyone like to have any specific interaction with anyone? If not, I will throw some your way. But Huang, go for it.
Did Santos introduce himself as a corporal?
Now,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I said that right the first time around, but he is a corporal. Yes, I definitely.
Right.
If I didn't say it right the first time, I definitely said it right the second time. He is corporal. Yeah, Corporal Santos.
I think
Okay.
you did, yeah.
I will slightly shift my weight, my burden to one side, and say, Corporal Santos, do you have any other weapon other than that?
Yes, ma'am. I have a service revolver.
Excellent. I've forgotten what the other doctor that was with him was called.
That's a good question.
Gala.
Gala. And you, miss?
I don't have a weapon, and you don't want to give me one either.
All right. Is there anyone who is unarmed? To the general group.
Collier is unarmed.
Collier,
We're a bit suspicious of Collier, huh?
He's shooting all day, so you know.
Are they-
Nice.
I have a natural suspicion of journalists,
Wow.
but I will draw my pistol and hand it to him, like handle fast.
Sure. He kind of looks at it with some unfamiliarity and kind of goes, all right. All right. Yep.
I tilt my head and sort of like, you safe to be holding that thing, Collier?
I think so. That's the safety, right? He is pointing at the safety.
Okay, good. Just don't want to be missed.
I can do this. I can help.
Aim it like you would a camera.
Point and click.
Does anyone else have to want to have any specific conversations with anyone? Fang.
I'd like to find Jan just at a distance from the group.
Sure.
So Jan, what's your plans once you get through all this?
I want to see someone.
Sure.
We all have individuals that we care about.
Yeah.
And yourself?
I mean, the plan always was to go somewhere warm and retire.
Well,
what are the chances of that going to be? I probably won't ever. Well, probably won't ever let me go after all of this. I hate to think what they'll do to you. Not a life to look forward to.
I look at Fang. I think I see what you're saying.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying there's not much of a life out there for either of us after this.
I'll be ready when the time comes.
I'm gonna pull off. I'm terrified of Jan right now, so I'm not 100% sure he's not going to kill me first.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Maybe you've just formed a little plot. Maybe you've just sealed your own death. Who knows? Flip a coin, roll a die. Any of the others want to have any kind of conversations with any NPCs or people? Alex,
I was just gonna sidle up to Can and sort of say, basically just say, hey, thanks for having my back there, in the guard room. And the rest of the time.
That's all right.
It's nice to have someone who knows what they're doing around here.
Look, that guy is a very clear psycho.
Yeah.
I'd say on balance, he even scares me a little bit more than Kozlov did. So
I'm not a huge fan of the fact that he's got a pistol. Now, the stun batten's one thing. Just glad I got this vest on, to put it that way.
You saw what he did to those things back at the station. So, like it or not, I think he has to be armed.
Yeah. Yeah, there's that. All right, just keep one eye open, yeah?
Always. I believe Jean didn't propose any kind of chat either. So Jean, Dima, you got anyone you want to talk to about anything?
I'd want to approach Aliona again and ask, when did you find out about these creatures? How long ago?
Years. Suspicions first. Interest piqued by the book about the dragon. Yes.
Oh, I think I heard something about that, but
something out of the wilds, planet Fury.
I thought it was
Soul Survivor, inspirational material. You could read the truth of it underneath. Something happened there. Found some sponsorship. Went looking.
And what brought you here?
Sponsorship. You seem a smart man.
Well, I don't know.
Smarter if you stop asking questions.
Fair enough.
So, as you are proceeding forwards along this tunnel, sorry, Pierre, I think you said that Gian didn't want to I'd be surprised if Jean wanted to interact with anyone. But is there
Socialite
anything?
that he is.
No, I think the only thing would be if, I might go and say, go over to the wounded, the people who are carrying the wounded individual and sort of say, well, I hope you know what to do if it comes to it, and then just sort of walk off.
Sure. Cheery ray of sunlight as ever from Zhang Zhan. So let's move a little bit forward. I'd say you've been walking through the tunnels for about half an hour at this point, and it's that good old observation roll again, folks. Let's all make that roll, please. And you're good to just flash up a number of fingers for your number of successes. Jean getting 2 there, Boy getting 1. 3 for Fang, 1 for Dima, and Huang gets 3. That's an all-round great roll from people. Then all of you, and I say obviously the ones who roll it higher, probably hear the noise first, but there is an odd noise coming from ahead of you down the tunnel, like a kind of cracking, snapping, an odd noise.
Do we have any headlights on this?
You don't need them. The entire tunnel is incredibly brightly lit.
Can't see anything, or
no, it's coming from kind of the tunnel very slowly is turning and it's kind of coming around from the edge of that. Who did roll 3? Fang and Huang. Both of you notice the scientist, Aliona, kind of stop in her tracks slightly, sidle over to the side of the tunnel where like the shadows start to arrive from the sort of stanchions and pillars that hold up the surface of the tunnel, and kind of sidle into some shadows there. And for the first time since she joined your group, that like torchlight she's got kind of strapped around her head clicks off.
I stop, get Yeva's attention, and gesture that we should do the same.
I think only Collier has an actual.
I meant move towards the shadows.
All right.
The
yeah.
wall.
Sure. Yeah.
Have we seen any like service shot, like any kind of metro system you might have, like an emergency exit for fires or something like that, or is this just
no? They don't bother with stuff like that. There's an occasional maintenance room, but you walk past them, and a couple of them been open, and they're just full of tools and nothing of any real interest.
Just lots of mobs.
Just lots of mobs. Yeah.
But there's no like emergency escapes or anything.
No.
Oh, damn.
I'm afraid this government and this corporation does not care about that kind of thing.
Cool. Then I would do the same. Gonna maybe opposite. Well, yeah. Some spot, some dark spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think herd instinct is probably kicking in at this point. I think Boy is definitely going to beckon and try and get people to move into these shadows.
Sure.
Like Cam and stuff.
I'll follow Fang right behind.
Basically the 3 new people and Collier. I mean, one of them isn't capable of expressing any confusion because he's moving in and out of consciousness. But they do move over to where you are, but just look kind of confused. And Collier kind of leans in and says, "Why? What's that noise?" The low voice of the scientist from the back of the room, kind of the back of the group, just says, "Feeding."
I think Boy is going to sort of put a finger to his lips, sort of looking around, and just like train his rifle down the tunnel and wait to see what happens. If he can hear anything else happening, or
it's definitely not coming towards you, but the noise is not stopping. And now that she said that, it definitely has a certain, chewing, slicing, aspect to it. Crunching, things popping, things tearing. The voice speaks again. Scouts ahead of the swarm.
Please stop clicking.
And I take it we have to get past. Is there no other way around?
Sir, what the fuck are we all talking about?
Okay. Don't have time for a very in-depth history lesson right now, but let's just say we found some really nasty life forms at Chirikov Station.
Chirikov?
Yeah. And
You're
they're
from
the reason...
Chirikov?
Indirectly, yeah. And they're the reason Chirikov doesn't exist anymore.
Sir, my brother was posted at Chirikov.
Santos.
Santos, of course. Shit.
What? He's not here, so I know it's... we get out of this. Can you tell me?
Yeah, I will.
I shoot Boria a look.
I think there'll be a few glances exchanged in various directions at this point.
Yeah.
The voice from the back just says, back or through. Should be one. Don't travel in packs. Not the scouts. There's a kind of muffled.
We don't have time to go through, to go back.
How much longer how much further is it?
Collier shrugs and says, I don't know down here, but I don't think far.
If this thing's already here, then its buddies aren't that far. We can't backtrack. We have to go through this.
Okay. And I take it the man with the smart gun should lead the way.
It's a safe bet. Santos, are you up to that?
Yes, sir.
All right.
My backup.
We should form a line so no one gets in anyone else's way. I don't want any accidents.
Remember to keep your distance.
Cam says, SOF forwards, everyone else behind.
Doc, when...
Unless he looks over at Jan, unless now you want to help.
Sure. I'll back our main guy up.
All right.
I shoot Cam a look.
I draw my
Cam
pistol.
says, that sounds good. I'll be right behind you.
Doc, when the time comes, get that light on as well. I want all the light on that thing we can get.
Was that to the scientist?
There was, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
Not for the medical doctor. The
Yeah. Just
Are these NPCs? They get along with the plan?
Yeah. They seem to be going along with it. So,
cool.
So you know what? Let's drop into initiative here. So Steve, if you can manage this for us, and let's just have that front line first, I think, before we bother with further people. So what I need from you is an initiative, and these are randomly generated folks essentially. So I think we're beyond calling them life forms. Let's call it a scout because that's what Alonia's been referring to it as. The scout has 3 actions. So it needs 3 entries on the initiative. Let's also put in there Cam and Santos as NPCs, and let's put in there Boya and Jean as PCs involved, and then we'll bring the others involved in it if we have to, you know. But let's have that randomized initiative, and while Steve's waiting for that to pop that up for us, I'll describe how you're like I say, this tunnel is a very like slight curve, and as you're walking around, so like things appear along, you know, one edge, and then you slowly get a view of the rest of it, and what you see is some kind of like maintenance vehicle is kind of askew, almost like parked up in the center of the tracks, but clearly it's come to a halt, not intentionally. There seems to have been one individual maybe driving it, who's toppled over to one side, and kind of, you can't see too clearly, but there seems to be a lot of blood and gore washed over the floor of the tunnel near them. The other individual in there was a passenger, and they appeared to have been pulled through the thin kind of like the thin sheet metal roof of this thing, and there is one of the life forms atop it, looking a little bit different to the ones you've encountered, maybe a little bit smaller, in an odd kind of reddish brown slight tone to it. It looks spindly and even more kind of unusually skeletal, and it has the passenger up through. The passenger is definitely dead, and it is just chomping and taking big slicing mouthfuls of flesh out of what remains of the man's shoulder and upper body, with a sickening crunching noise as its metal teeth grind through flesh, muscle, and bone. Yeah, are we ready for the banner there, Steve? But either way, Jean, you're going first. So,
sure. Is there? I think if it hasn't noticed us yet, I think I am going to if there's an option to hold my action until.
You know, I think there is. I think there is an option to move around in the action thing, right?
If you can communicate at the start of a round, you can swap actions. I believe I saw that earlier on.
Can be exchanged by player characters who can speak to each other at the start of conflict or the start of a round. Yeah, like, do you want to say to Santos, open fire or something like that?
Yeah, I think I'd want to swap with Santos, basically. Because...
Sure. Yeah, he's fine doing that. Why should he distrust you? Exactly. So are you okay to swap those?
Sure,
Steve, and I will roll for Santos's fire then. I do have his character sheet here because all of my NPCs have character sheets, just in case. We need to find new player characters. And he is going to open fire with his smart gun. Does someone want to make the roll for me, actually? Because it's kind of more exciting if you guys do it, right? So let's have a random selection. You know, let's have someone involved who isn't in the combat already. So let's have... Steve, you get it as a reward there. I've randomly selected you. So if you can roll his ranged combat pool, please, which is 7.
7? Okay.
With a bonus of 3 for the smart gun.
Yikes. So 7 base dice, 3 bonus dice.
Correct.
Any stress?
No, not currently. And he isn't going full auto at the moment.
Okay. Well, that was 10 dice all told, and I rolled 4 successes.
Whoo! Not too shabby. So the damage of a smart gun is 3. It's armor piercing. And are you spending all 3 of the extra dice on damage there?
I think so. That would seem good.
So that's 6. Now, armor piercing. I don't know off the top of my head if that means like just armor's completely ignored.
I believe it halves from watching the last session. I believe it, at least for my gun, it was half armor rounding up.
Half armor rounding up. That sounds about right to me. So we'll just go with that. So that was 6 damage altogether, right?
That's correct. I just looked it up.
Yeah. So its armor is 8. So let's see how it does here. I will roll its armor. Tell me if it's too clattery. Okay, so that is that. Yeah. All right. Santos steps out and kind of it doesn't seem to notice at first, and he kind of raises up the smart gun. You can hear like the hydraulics kind of whooshing slightly as it takes the weight of the smart gun, and he sights and clicks the trigger. Doesn't like fully open fire, just sends. But a smart gun doesn't ever send one bullet. It sends them in bursts, and he stitches a very professional, well-aimed line of fire across the creature's torso, kind of cutting upwards, and slices it clean in half. The two halves crash down over the maintenance vehicle and douse it in kind of a yellowish clear molecular acid that immediately starts hissing and filling the air with kind of a foul smell as the metal of the maintenance vehicle and the stone of the tunnel starts to be consumed by the ravenous corrosive material. Steve, can you no, you know what, we'll just use that's fine we will just use the ones you've already established. So can everyone please who is in that front line and has a place in that thing, please roll observation for me. Just flash up your. So that's one. Goddamn. Okay, that's fine. But you both succeeded, so you know what? We'll do that. So who else is in that front line? It's just Santos and Cam, right? Yeah. So we'll have an NPC for this. Okay. So after randomly generating that, let me go and randomly generate something else.
I don't think it's necessary, Matt. I think
that's all fine.
There's such a thing as too much random generation, Matt, honestly.
Okay.
That sounds. This is usually the time that Justin's character gets killed for some reason.
It's not Justin's character. So. Yeah, okay. Okay. So that's
Cool.
that.
Cool. These are really cool noises,
that much damage.
Loving this lack of context. It's awesome.
Let me just look up something on a sheet. Ooh, that's pretty good.
Matt rolling one dice to determine damage. Definitely one dice.
It's not enough. Yeah, as sort of Santos raises the smart gun up after having done it, and kind of turns round to where Jean, you are of course behind him, as you said, and kind of looks round and just says, I thought they were meant to. And then his torso explodes in a shower of ribs and gore as one of the creatures clambers out from a maintenance tunnel beneath him and rises above him, ripping at what remains of Santos with its claws. It is right fucking there in front of you. Santos is very, very dead. Well, that's a subplot. We're not going to get any... but we got very quick
closure.
Closure on, huh? Yeah, I just rolled for its attack. It rolled a 6, and then I just rolled the damage, and it's just as Justin found out the first time we did this. There's not a lot of give when that happens, so there we go. It did 3 damage, and if it damages at all, you're dead.
How much of it?
His armor was 6.
Cloud of gore.
Didn't get 3 6s. So there we go. Yeah, absolutely. Jean, it is your turn. I think I'm going to raise everyone's stress by 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that event.
Okay.
One is
Jian,
generous.
and when I say it's in front of you, I think, is it in engaged range? No, I'd say it's just about in short, but if it moves any closer to you, it's going to be in engaged range. And something happens when you damage it in engaged range. So, just so you know. Jian, what are you doing?
Am I going to go in for the engagement, or am I going to use the pistol? I think I'll use the pistol, since that's probably what I had drawn at the time, pointing at the back of Santos's head. So I guess is that ranged combat?
It is ranged combat indeed, yes. Go for it.
I'm terrible at that, so this will be good.
Just as well you don't have the pulse rifle then, huh?
No, I'd still feel more comfortable with the pulse rifle. So I got 2 successes and no panic.
Okay. Do you want to use that extra success as just an extra damage? I mean,
yes.
I would advise that.
Yes.
So you rolled your range combat. Did you add the bonus for the pistol?
Oh, I didn't add the bonus for the pistol, which is a +1. So that was not an extra success.
Okay.
The damage is 2.
On the pistol? The damage is 2, so that's going to be 3 damage for this. It's not armor piercing, is it?
No, I don't think so.
No. So it does get a armor roll against that 3 damage, I think you said. Okay. Your round definitely does not deflect or bounce off its biomechanical hide. There is a satisfying thud and a punch and a spray of that acidic blood behind it as you sort of clip the life form in the shoulder, and it reels slightly backwards. It definitely doesn't seem to register the pain, but it registers some kind of frustration with a sibilant hiss. You also have a fast action, I believe. Do you want to use that to back off in any way, or?
Yeah. I guess I'll back off.
Sure. You probably won't back off far enough to get out of its range if it wants to come for you, but for what it's worth, you're kind of pacing backwards, I suppose.
I'm pacing backwards and reaching for my knife.
Sure. Boya, it's your turn.
I think that merits a full auto.
Sure, absolutely. So what that does is immediately ratchets up your stress by 1.
Yeah.
And I believe full auto just adds an extra 2 dice to the roll.
I think so. Let me
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I can find descriptions of it, but not exactly what it does. So I'll roll while you.
Range fire modifications. Oh, there is a modification actually. We're in short range, so there's not going to be a modification. It's fine.
Okay.
Could someone else look up that full auto thing just to make sure? But I'm pretty sure it just adds 2 dice. And don't forget to add your gear dice from the pulse rifle.
One plus 2 modification to the roll.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And distress level immediately increases by 1.
I've done that.
And if there are additional targets, then you can spread that over them.
Yeah. And I'm assuming you're also rolling your stress dice, including one you just gained. Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't get anything from the stress, and I roll 1 gear die in as well. Is that correct?
Does the pulse rifle add 1 gear, or does it add more? I thought it added more for some reason.
Oh, it maybe does. Sorry, I haven't done this in quite a while.
I don't. Your assault rifle. Oh no, it doesn't. I don't think. Does it just not have any extra?
Which pulse rifle is it?
The AK-4047.
Yeah, no, there's no bonus on that.
Okay, then no. No extra gear dice, unfortunately.
Okay, well, it's still...
SOF have shonkier gear than the USMC.
Yes. Okay, well, I did get 3 successes, and I didn't screw up on any stress die, so that's good.
I'm assuming you're spending those 2 extra successes on just extra damage.
Oh, yeah. Does this... I think I have armor... it doesn't have armor piercing either. Oh, it is a bit rough, this gear, isn't it? Right. Okay. So 3 successes and having it all on extra damage, but I don't have any armor piercing.
Sure. And what's the raw damage on that pulse rifle?
It is 2, sadly.
2. So that's 4 successes. That's 4 damage altogether. That's not too bad. But no armor piercing, so it gets its full armor roll. And it entirely fluffs the armor roll. you go on full auto, and it's like, the old reflex. It's been a while since you fired a pulse rifle because you didn't get to fire it last time.
I really didn't.
And you fall into like, maybe a natural. Do you think you'd like drop to one knee even, and kind of drop to one knee? That kind of center mass, tilt up an inch, fire. It's a more spindly, more narrow skeletal creature, but its head, like, you fire in through those clashing jaws it's used to tear apart Santos, and the back of its head erupts in a spray of acid and chunks of odd metallic flesh that scatter over the tunnel floor. There's more hissing and more stench, and there is a pause for a second and a silence after the cacophony of the roar of your pulse rifle in the tunnel, and then silence. Nothing.
Did anyone get hit with anything?
By acid or?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't within engaged.
Right.
If it had one more turn to come into the group, it would have been engaged with more or less everyone. But killed off just in time. In the immediate silence after its death, Ulyona's voice just speaks from the back of the group and says, "Interesting. Usually only one scout."
Thanks for that. Keep your eye out for more maintenance access hatches, please, everyone.
Is anyone going to go and grab that the crap off Santos's corpse?
Assuming it's totaled.
I would say he's been torn apart, and so the hydraulics of the smart gun have been wrenched apart. There's no way you're picking up and using a smart gun without the hydraulic harness.
That's fair enough.
Cam kind of like steps forward and kind of looks at the mess that was Santos and goes, fuck. Yeva kind of takes a step forward to see if there's anything she can do, and then takes a step back and shoots Jan a venomous look and says, "I suppose that solved one problem for you."
I don't know what you're talking about.
There's that phrase again, Jan.
Look, if you want to blame me for the fact that he was not paying attention,
Is that your way of saying you knew he was standing on a grate, and that's why you weren't standing on a grate?
Those bullets probably attracted fire. We should get moving. That fire probably attracted attention. We should get moving.
Yeva nods and says, "I don't want to spend one more minute on him. Huang, help me lift this guy."
I will briefly try and go for the service pistol that Santos said he had, and then I will lift the injured man.
Sure. You kind of heft Apostol up, and he's kind of again muttering under his breath in a dialect you don't understand, and you heave him forward. The tunnel lasts another maybe 10 minutes or so before you reach you basically see the signal that's pinging you is very close now, and there is an access shaft leading upwards. Like it's you have to like climb a couple of ladders and you have to heave the body up there, but you could definitely access quickly before you hit the next metro station if you wanted.
Relatively, we'd have to carry him up, but you can reach street level through here.
How close are we?
Close. You're muted, Matt. I can't tell. The relays are down.
Oh, damn. Yeah, you'll be very close here. If you go to the next metro tunnel, it'll probably be easier to get him up, but you'll be further away.
I'm not doing that then.
Fuck that. Let's go. Yeah. Let's go. Let's get to street level. It's my vote.
Okay. It's definitely going to be some kind of roll to try and heft this guy up to the surface. Why don't we go with a stamina roll, I think? And Huang, do you want to make a stamina roll if you're the one? Are you the one hefting him up, or are you going to leave it to other stronger people to do that?
I will leave it to other stronger people to do that.
Sure. So is anyone volunteering to help Yeva with it? Because Yeva will definitely try and get him up as well.
Do either Yeva or Gala appear to be strong individuals?
Yeva is, yeah. She's kind of... I don't think we've had a description of Yeva. Why don't we have a description of Yeva in the Medics? She's one of my favourite NPCs from the first story.
Yeah.
She's a friendly curmudgeon, seemed to have been assigned to Chirikov as a punishment for mild political dissidence. Competent medic and field surgeon. She's kind of aging in her early 50s, shoulder-length grey hair tied up, athletic build, starting to go to seed. Yeah. Is anyone else going to help her up? Help her get Apostol up?
I'll give it a go.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a stamina roll, and you can add 2 dice to it for Yeva's help.
Cool. Ooh, okay. That's not too bad, actually. So that's 1. Still 1. 2 from Yeva. Still 1. And then stress. A success and a stress. So, yeah, 2 successes, but I have a
panic moment. Did I add a stress to everyone for Santos exploding in front of everyone? I'm not sure I did.
You didn't, and I definitely feel like yes.
Yeah, take that. Everyone can take that.
Extra 1 in. Nothing.
Yeah, might as well. Well, let's start with your panic, shall we?
Yes, let's do that. Can't wait for that. Right. It's just 1 die plus. Oh, that's 5 plus 8. 5 plus 8. 5 plus
what?
3.
I was going to say.
No,
good lord.
Ludicrous.
So that's a tremble. So basically, all skill rolls using agility suffer -2 mod until your panic stops. Normally, panic stops within like a turn or so. So like it's just anything immediately following this.
As long as they don't need to shoot right now.
Absolutely. But you know what? I'm going to say that let's just go into a bit of narrative here. We're drawing up to our second break now, folks. So we're just going to go into a bit of narrative here. Boy, you're heaving Apostol up these stairs with Yeva. The others are maybe below you. Like maybe people agreed that like you'd go first. Because just leaving the 2 of you with a burden down in the tunnel doesn't seem like a terribly good idea. You manage.
Chang would love that.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
you manage to kind of. You've got like him slung under one arm, and you're kind of heaving yourself up as Yeva's trying to support from underneath. There's like a hatch at the top. You wheel it open, pop it open, and start heaving yourself up onto the street, which is starting to kind of go dark now as Gehenna's night draws in. And you kind of like manage to heave him up and like heave yourself up with kind of trembling arms from what the effort that's been going on, and crawl forward a bit. And then behind you, you hear a slightly distorted voice say, "Hold where you are." John, can you flash up the image that's labeled SOF, please?
Could be worse.
Yeah.
There are 2 guys in that gear pointing pulse rifles at you. There seem to be quite a few of others of them around. There's some vehicles and transports, and you think you have reached the fallback point. And on that note, let's take a break, folks. Another 10-minute break. We'll be back. We'll be aiming to wrap up after that in an hour to an hour and a half. We'll see how it goes. These things never work out precisely as you intend. But either way, we'll see you in about 10 minutes. Bye.
Bye.